Hi, my name is John Galenzi, and I'm the director of Apple's Technology Evangelism team. The number of apps being downloaded off the App Store is astounding, and it's growing bigger every day. But the interesting thing is that the apps that are downloaded the most are also the best apps. They're the ones with 4 to 5 star ratings, and they're the ones that people talk about and get noticed. And they're the ones that we can't live without. And as a result, they're the ones that also never get deleted off of our iPhones and iPads. And these best apps, these great apps, all share some common, vital ingredients. And so I'd like to explain these ingredients to you and highlight some really great apps along the way. Great apps win Apple Design Awards, a prestigious award which recognizes excellence in software innovation and design on iOS and OS X. Great apps also consistently hold 4.5 to 5 star ratings on the App Store. And all of these apps experience tremendous customer demand and interest from Apple. I mean, there is no better way to get noticed by Apple than to build a really great app. But what does it take to create a great app? Well, here are 8 ingredients found in the best apps that we've seen as we've worked with developers over the past few years. I mean, creating a basic iPhone or iPad app is easy, but making a really great iOS app is a whole other thing. When you're designing a new app or enhancing an existing app, you can dramatically increase its appeal, create a much more engaging user experience, and make your app stand out from the crowd if you incorporate as many of these ingredients into your app as possible. So let's look at these one by one. Let's start by talking about delightful apps. Delightful apps are inviting. This means that they have an attractive, highly functional design, which leaves a great first impression on people. Now think about that for a minute. First impressions begin in the App Store with your app's description and screenshots. They're reinforced again with your app's icon, and then again on first launch, and again as people begin to explore your app and discover that, in addition to its good looks, it always launches quickly, is responsive, and gets things done. Delightful apps invite people to play, in the case of games, or to get real things done quickly and efficiently in the case of non-games. Delightful apps are also intuitive. This means that the people your app is designed for know exactly what to do on first launch. Now, this doesn't mean that your app should be intuitive to everyone. Instead, making your app intuitive means that you optimize your design for the people it's intended for. For example, an app designed specifically for radiologists is going to have very different terminology and functionality than an app designed for commercial pilots or for a high school chemistry student. The use case scenarios for these apps is very different, as is the expertise of each of these types of people. Delightful apps are engaging. This means that they keep you coming back for more. Your app should meet a need so effectively or provide so much value or entertainment that users come back again and again. And this is really the holy grail for you as a developer, of course. You want your app to be sticky and to be used again and again by people. The way to do this is to ensure great functionality or gameplay paired with fresh and dynamic content. This could be updated news, fresh maps, new mechanical drawings, or new game levels, or any other content that people use within your app. In other words, new material that doesn't get stale and which continually adds value for people. Remember, sticky apps don't get deleted, and your goal should always be to create an app that is so compelling it's an easy decision for people to keep it around. Delightful apps are enabling. They help people do new things, things they couldn't do before. In other words, it's not enough to replicate the functionality of a website or a desktop version of your app, for example. If that's all your app does, there's nothing new of value to people other than that your app's functionality is now mobile. Instead, your app has to do more by taking advantage of hardware and software capabilities unique to iPhone or iPad. Your goal should be to make your app highly desirable. Delightful apps are also exciting, meaning they generate enthusiasm in users. They have flair and they show great attention to detail. Keep in mind that the definition of exciting depends on the people that your app is designed for. I mean, for example, what a foodie thinks is an exciting app may be quite different from what a soccer coach thinks is an exciting app. Delightful apps are memorable. Recall that there's an app for that ads that we ran some time ago. Each ad featured 5 or 6 apps, and so each app had approximately 4 to 5 seconds to leave an impression on you. And the amazing thing is that each one did. I mean, how many times did you or people you know watch one of those ads and make split-second decisions about whether or not they'd buy an app or not based on what they saw the app do? That's what being memorable is all about. Conveying significance in a memorable way. Now, delightful apps also satisfy a real need. They entertain, train, provide essential utility, or enhance productivity. And they work as expected. Now look at this list for a moment. If you do nothing else, at least focus energy on making sure that your app is inviting, that it's intuitive, engaging, enabling, exciting, memorable, and everything else in this list. So let's look at a few examples of delightful apps that are on the App Store. The first is Disney's Where's My Water, a completely new casual game that's quickly gained loyal fans and maintained a 5-star rating after more than 11,000 reviews. Where's My Water was created by a small team of programmers, designers, and producers, and is an addictive, high-quality puzzle game. It offers straightforward gameplay, and it's an excellent benchmark for casual games because of its strong game design paired with excellent iOS integration. This app leaves you with a very positive first impression. It's attractive and clever, has lots of personality, a consistent narrative, and is simple to play, even though puzzles get progressively more and more complicated as you progress through levels. This is a classic example of a big brand stepping up and committing to invest in a new title based on everything they've learned from being on the App Store so far. Another delightful app is the Jamie Oliver 20-Minute Meals app for iPhone and iPad. It lets you pick great recipes, manage their ingredients, organize grocery lists, watch streaming videos, and follow detailed step-by-step cooking instructions. The visual design of this app is really inviting, with extremely high production value, great layout, and gorgeous photography. It's nicely organized, and it uses the latest technologies on iOS. That's what great apps do. But what sets this app apart is its attention to detail. For example, when you're following a recipe step by step, and then rotate iPhone, you get a larger, more legible presentation of instructions. And if you then tap the screen, you get a photo of how the food should appear at that stage in the recipe. How cool is that? That's not what you'd expect, and it's a great example of fit and finish that will surprise and delight customers. Your app should find ways to surprise and delight, ways to go above and beyond. And here's an iPad app called G20 Data, published by the French president and created for the G20 Summit of 2011. Using an innovative 3D navigation interface, this application gives access to key economic, industrial, agricultural, environmental, and technological figures for G20 countries. By panning and zooming the globe, it's possible to select countries or regions, examine data from the last 10 years in a variety of major categories, compare data between countries, and switch between any of 14 languages. It's a delightful animated visualization of verified data from the World Bank, EEC, and IMF that would otherwise be much harder to understand and typically presented in a much drier, table-driven, more predictable format. And then there's Flipboard, the world's first social magazine that helps improve how people discover, view, and share content across their social networks. Here's an app available for iPhone and iPad that's really great. Its design is simple and clean, with everything laid out in an attractive and legible way. And Flipboard uses animation extensively to draw people into the content. Flipboard is an excellent example of a delightful app that's inviting, it easily draws you in, that's intuitive, anyone can use it, that's engaging, it really improves the discovery of content within your social network. It's enabling because it helps you browse content in new ways. It's exciting. Think how you felt the first time you saw Flipboard. And that's truly memorable. Once you've used it, you cannot forget it. So that's delightful, the first ingredient of great apps. Now, great iOS apps are also innovative. And by innovative, I mean groundbreaking, category-defining, inspirational apps. Innovative apps are a breath of fresh air and often make our jaws drop. Innovative apps do things that have not been done before, or they do things in ways not thought of before. These apps inspire people by making the complicated easy and by fundamentally changing the way people get things done. Let's look at a few examples. First off, here's Flight Control by Firement, a highly addictive air traffic control app which uses multi-touch to allow you to tap an incoming airplane and drag a path to the runway matching the airplane's color. If two planes are going to collide, you can tap one of them and drag a new flight path. It's simple to learn, super easy to play, and very addictive. Now, the innovative thing about this app is that at the moment it arrived on the App Store, it defined a completely new genre of gaming. Until then, no one had ever done an app with that type of multi-touch interaction. And now there are lots of apps on the App Store with a similar game mechanic. Your goal should be to create a category-defining app too. And here's Peaks by Augmented Outdoors, an app that lets you identify mountains by triangulating iPhone's GPS location, compass bearing, and accelerometer to accurately determine which direction you're looking and how far away you are from a mountain. It then tells you the height, name, and distance of the mountain that you're looking at. How cool is that? Before iPhone in the App Store, we couldn't imagine these types of innovative solutions. And now there are more and more augmented reality apps every day, transforming how we use our iPhones and how we live our lives. Here's Word Lens by Quest Visual, an app that's a total jaw-dropper the first time you see it. Written by two young ex-game developers, this app does real-time word translation between a variety of languages. Now notice what's going on here. The app is translating words and yet maintaining almost identical font size, background color, and transparency. This is amazing. There wasn't anything like this available 5 years ago before iPhone and the SDK became available. In this app, and other innovative apps like this change everything. I mean, many people see this type of thing and think it's magic. Once you see something like this, you can't imagine this capability implemented in any other way. And then there's Stock Touch, a powerful and new way to monitor and understand the stock market. It shows a series of heat maps that give you the pulse and direction of the market, categorized across 9 industry sectors. And you can see the entire market as the day unfolds. Shades of green indicate stocks that are gaining value, while shades of red indicate stocks that are losing value. And this is such a great app. With minimal UI, you can pinch and zoom to take a closer look and examine a category or specific stock in way more detail. This is really innovative stuff. The more traditional way of displaying this type of data would be far less interactive and much more bland. And this is Biophilia, an extraordinary and innovative multimedia exploration of music, nature, and technology by the musician Björk. Comprising original music and interactive educational artwork, Biophilia lets you experience each song as you fly through a three-dimensional galaxy. This app is incredible, and like other innovative apps, it changes the way you think about things and opens new doors of creativity and imagination. And then there's GroupShot, a fun app with a very innovative solution to a common problem with group photos. Namely, that one person often isn't ready for the photo. With GroupShot, users can pick and choose parts of each photo and then combine all the parts to create a perfect shot that looks exactly right. All you need to do is take some photos and then pick the best one. Then you mark the parts that you wish to replace and choose the best alternative photo for the marked part. Then you wait for the magic to happen. And then, voila, your photo is perfect. This is a really innovative iOS-only app for iPhone and iPad that makes heavy use of the Accelerate framework to speed up math calculations and do its magic. And so that's innovative, the second ingredient of great apps. Now, great iOS apps are state-of-the-art. State-of-the-art apps use the newest capabilities of the latest iOS devices. Things like multi-core, or advanced graphics, cameras, compass, gyroscope, and even location. State-of-the-art apps support the latest OS releases. And therefore, they can integrate with the latest technologies, such as AirPlay or AirPrint, iCloud, Newsstand, Game Center, and Twitter, for example. I mean, with iOS 5's over-the-air updates, more people than ever will be up to date, so you can push ahead with confidence. State-of-the-art apps are also built using the latest techniques. Things like Arc, or blocks, or even storyboarding. And state-of-the-art apps are fast and responsive. For example, they launch quickly, they respond instantly to your touch, they let you scroll, zoom, and pan in real time, and they get things done without any delay. So here are a few examples. The first is Real Racing 2 HD. This is a state-of-the-art Apple Design Award-winning app with fast load times, excellent performance, immersive gameplay, and an ability to scale on any iOS device. I mean, and the guys at Firemint are in lockstep with us on every OS release, every time. When we innovate, they innovate. When we release, they release. When we invent a new technology, they adopt it. And they succeed because of it. They're always there with the latest and greatest. And that's how you get noticed. And here's Infinity Blade 2 by Epic Games. This sword-fighting action game was developed exclusively for iOS and iPad 2 and offers a unique and brilliant game mechanic, unbelievable performance, stunning platform-differentiated high-res graphics, and a deep narrative and fictional backstory with progressively harder logic, which keeps people coming back for more. This is a truly state-of-the-art game. Here's another, Galaxy on Fire HD with more than 16,000 5-star ratings on the App Store. This game follows in the footsteps of all-time classics such as Elite, Wing Commander, or Freelancer, and revives the popular space trading genre for veteran and novice players alike. This app delivers stunning graphics on iPad 2 and is truly state-of-the-art, with up to 4 times higher textures, carefully reworked space backgrounds, heavily enhanced special effects, OpenGL shader use, and console-quality dynamic 3D sound design. And then there's DJ, an Apple Design Award-winning app by Algorithm, a small German developer. A full-fledged DJ system, DJ for iPad allows mixing of iPod music, live performances, and recorded mixes on a hyper-realistic turntable interface. It's fully optimized for iOS multitasking and background operation, and uses Core Audio for pristine sound quality and ultra-low latency, with support for popular audio formats like MP3 and AA. DJ for iPad also uses AirPlay to stream mixes wirelessly to Apple TV, or any AirPlay-supported speaker dock, AV receiver, or stereo system. It takes advantage of the high-performance dual-core processor in iPad 2 for supreme quality and desktop-class features like time stretching and higher precision audio analysis. This app is state-of-the-art because it pretty much uses every relevant iOS technology that there is. Grand Central Dispatch, Core Animation, OpenGL ES, Core Audio, Core MIDI, Accelerate Framework, the Media Player Framework, and more recently, iCloud, enabling the creation of a mix on one device for review and live DJing on another. And just like the Firemint guys, the Algorithm team is always in lockstep with us on OS technology and device releases. And in case you've never seen this app in action, take a look at this. There's so much going on here. Watch for the rotating discs, which is accomplished by Core Animation, multi-touch support for scrubbing with 1 or 2 fingers, and the use of multicore to quickly analyze new tracks. So that's state of the art, the third essential ingredient of great apps. Now let's talk about the fourth. Great apps are also connected. This means they reach out beyond the device to connect with things to add more value for people. And the ways that apps can reach out to the world are numerous on iOS. Apps can use location information or share data with other iOS devices over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Apps can connect to accessories via Accessory Kit. And apps can connect to the world and store information via iCloud. They can play video on Apple TV via AirPlay. They can print wirelessly using AirPrint. They can receive notifications or obtain new features and content using in-app purchase. Connecting your app on iPhone with a companion app on macOS 10 can also add lots of value for people. Here's Billings Touch by Market Circle. It's a very capable time tracking app for anyone who wants to manage billing against projects or clients. On its own, it's really great. But when combined with a companion app on the Mac called Billings macOS 10, it means people can have data automatically synced so that they can take advantage of the power of the desktop to design and print an invoice, for example. And here's Nike Plus Fuel Band, which is a great example of an app-driven accessory connected to iPhone via Bluetooth. Nike Fuel is a measurement of activity that standardizes on height, weight, age, and sex, allowing anybody to compare and compete with anyone else on the question of who's more active. With the Nike Plus Fuel Band, you can set daily goals and see your Nike Plus Fuel Band light up from red to green throughout the day as you get closer to your goal. The app will show you your progress daily, weekly, monthly, and beyond. And graphs help you visualize your progress and motivate you to keep moving. And in addition, you can share your achievements and results on Twitter and Facebook. That's a really connected app. And here's Real Racing 2 HD from Firemint, connected to Apple TV and other devices using AirPlay, and taking their gameplay to a whole new level beyond the device. And so that's connected. Now, great iOS apps are also accessible, meaning they're usable by people with visual, auditory, cognitive, and physical disabilities. Now, building accessibility into your app means everyone will be able to use it, which is important whether your app is for in-house employees or for everyone in the App Store. Now, here are some interesting statistics from the US that are likely similar to the rest of the world. 10 million people are visually impaired. For example, they could be colorblind. 31 million people are hearing impaired. For example, they might be completely deaf or may have difficulty differentiating between left and right stereo sound. And some 12 million have a learning disability. For example, they might have dyslexia and so will misinterpret what they read on screen in your app. And so all told, that's 1 in 5 users, or 1 in 5 of your employees even. Which translates to about 50 million people who won't be able to use your app at all, or who will have difficulty using it unless you make it accessible. Now the good news is that if you use the accessibility framework from the start in your application, you're going to be able to enable powerful new capabilities in your app, including voiceover and much more. And that's accessibility. Now, great apps are localized, meaning they're available to users around the world in their language of choice. With iPhone available in 105 countries and iPad in 90 countries, it's more important than ever that your app be localized. Now, there are few localized apps in most non-English speaking countries, so you're missing out on a big part of this market and getting beaten by the competition if your app is only available in one language. So rather than just spend all of your time trying to figure out what your next app will be, spend a few cycles making your existing app available in other languages. And here's a simple example of what multiple language versions of your app might look like. This is Cut the Rope, an awesomely addictive and endearing game that does everything right on iOS. It's delightful, innovative, state-of-the-art, designed, and so much more. But in addition to all that, it's localized. And here's a single screen localized for multiple languages. I mean, if you were competing with this app, but your app was only available in English, they'd have you beat, since they're available in at least 9 languages. And to help you support more than one language within your app, we've created a whole new collection of information about how to localize your iOS app on developer.apple.com/internationalization. This page begins with an overview of worldwide distribution and the multilingual foundations provided for your apps in iOS and macOS 10. This is followed by some valuable step-by-step instructions about how to internationalize and localize your app, links to valuable programming resources, and a list of third-party localization vendors, all of whom have experience with Xcode, iOS, and macOS. And so great apps are localized. Now, great apps are also designed, and design has so many aspects to it. First of all, well-designed apps have an efficient interaction model. This means that users can move around within the app easily and understand how to get from one place to the next. Secondly, well-designed apps have gorgeous visual design. After you've built the framework for how people move around within your app, this is where you decide what the app looks like. Well-designed apps also reflect what's familiar. People can easily recognize things that they've seen before. Well-designed apps also have physicality and realism. This means that they're modeled after the real world. They introduce responsiveness and animation to make things feel just like they are in the real world. And well-designed apps sweat the details. Now, to begin to talk about this a little bit more and frame the idea of the importance of design, here's a great quote from Adam Engst, a technology writer, written just after the original iPad launched in April of 2010. And Adam said this: "The iPad becomes the app that you're using. Switch to another app, and the iPad becomes that app. And if that's not magic, I don't know what is." And the key point from this quote is that the iPad is a blank slate for your design. It's a piece of glass that can become anything you want it to become. And here are a few examples to illustrate the point. Here's Maps on iPad. iPad just becomes a digital map. And here's Notes. iPad becomes a classic paper notepad. There's no baggage from the desktop. There's no menu system, no windowing system, no apparent file system that the user is exposed to. And there's no remnant from the previous app that was running. It's just a classic paper notepad running at this time. Here's Calendar. iPad becomes a daytimer. The entire device becomes a daytimer. Here's Contacts. iPad becomes an address book. And here's a point of sale system called Square for iPhone and iPad that's really attractive, easy to use, and allows anyone to take credit card payments. It's totally transformative for small business. An iPad becomes a point of sale system. And here's Marvel Comics, a fantastic digital comic reading experience on iPad. iPad becomes an amazing comic book reader. And here's Amplitude Fender by Agile Partners. iPad becomes a Fender guitar amp and effects modeler. And so, as you can see, each app takes over the iPad screen, and the device becomes your app. And this is why design matters so much. Here's some other examples. Here's Numberlies by Moonbot Studios. This is a phenomenally gorgeous app that tells the story of a world where no letters or words exist, just numbers. And Moonbot Studios does a great job of seamlessly fusing a book, movie, and gaming experience together, setting a high bar for other apps of this genre. And here's Osmos for iPad, an extremely well-designed, well-executed Asteroids meets Lava Lamp game that offers maximum simplicity and total immersion. This app exudes excellence in design, with elegant, physics-based gameplay, amazing dreamlike visuals, and a minimalist electronic soundtrack that sounds way better with earphones, by the way. It's clear the developers spent a lot of time trying to make everything just right. And finally, let's talk about the early edition 2. An iOS 5 only, iPad only, RSS News Reading app. This is a really great app developed by a team of two, one programmer and one designer at Glasshouse Pty in Australia. This app puts you in the editorial seat. You decide what news you care about, and it presents feeds in beautiful, dynamic, column-based page layouts with styles for both text-heavy stories or more visual news. It's built on blocks, core animation, Grand Central Dispatch for background processing, and core text for multi-column article layout and text wrapping. This app is full of small touches and detail that make using it a total pleasure. And I'd like to show a short video about what I mean. And so that's designed. Great apps are designed. Now, the best apps are also disruptive. This means that they have an impact. They leave an impression on you. They change things. They change whole industries or factories, hospitals, classrooms, small business or retail stores. They change the way we do things. They change the way we think about things. And they start big trends. Disruptive apps entertain better. They teach better. They solve problems better. And disruptive apps force us to reimagine old formats or processes. Disruptive apps are made by rethinking how things have been done and starting over from scratch. And they inspire. For example, in education where iPads are really popular, here's an app called Bobo Explores Lite. It's an educational app exclusive to the iPad that presents basic scientific concepts about light to school-age children through hands-on experimentation, self-driven discovery, and humor. This is a state-of-the-art app written by a small developer that's breaking the mold for digital textbooks. This app sports high-quality content and visual design, eye-popping animations, and support for multi-touch to create an immersive learning experience. And this app is a total riot. And it's teaching better and enticing kids to come back again and again and learn this material over and over. Just check this out a bit. And now on to sports. Here's Golfscape Rangefinder, another Apple Design Award winner, by ShotZoom Software. This is an app developed specifically for golfers, and it provides a superior replacement to dedicated devices costing more than $300. But it's so much more than that. It isn't just replacing legacy equipment, it's taking the entire golf experience forward. Now that's disruptive. ShotZoom basically built something that hadn't been done before. Golfscape GPS Rangefinder is an augmented reality visual golf rangefinder used by players to pinpoint positioning on the golf course for accurate shot placement and to provide precise distances from your golf ball to potential landing areas, hazards, and locations on a green. It uses the compass to show position indicators and point to the target, and offers superior use of the camera, gyroscope, and accelerometer for an accurate, full 360-degree view of the course. And the app works on over 37,000 golf courses worldwide and is located in more than a dozen languages. And now let's look at aviation. Here's Jepeson's Mobile TC, an app that's disrupting commercial aviation. Now here's a picture of the problem that they set out to solve. Jepeson Mobile running on an iPad 2 replaces the 37 pounds of printed manuals and references and map every pilot needs. And this is shown here at the bottom of the photo in what's known as a flight bag. And the savings alone, in terms of saved fuel and reduced emissions, is huge. This photo was taken inside a Gulfstream G200 airplane made available by Executive Jet Management. EJM partnered with Jepeson during the launch of these iPad apps. This app has opened the door for global iPad adoption in commercial aviation today and led to this industry's first major authorization for pilot use of iPad in the cockpit during all phases of flight. Recent big announcements from major airlines including United, American, Alaska, and many others around the world show the massive momentum this app has. So let's be clear. If you can identify and meet a real need, and do it the right way, and do great work, you can change an entire industry with your iOS app. That's disruptive. Now, there are definitely many more apps I could have talked about, since there are lots of really great apps on the App Store. But these apps have set themselves apart by doing a lot of things right. The developers of these apps decided that good enough wasn't an option. And so they worked hard to build the very best. And the impact to their business and to all of us has been huge. So stop holding back from adopting the latest technology. Move things forward by supporting the latest hardware and trying new ideas. Work hard, be creative, exceed people's expectations. Think outside the box and figure out where your app can transform an industry, a process, a classroom, or a small business. We're seeing the next generation of software on iOS 5, for example with Siri. So write the next generation of your app. And push hard, make something truly great. And then don't hesitate to tell me about it. Thanks for watching.